So before I came here to Generation Church, I've always been a leader. I've always been outgoing. I'm usually, if I'm at a sporting event, I'm usually the loudest person there. I'll be honest, I'm pretty loud. But like inside of my soul, I was lost. Like deep depression, anxiety over just about every situation I was in. If I'm being honest with you, suicidal thoughts. I was in a really bad place before we came here. So anyways, I met Erica when I was 21.
Kyle and I have been married for 8 years, together for almost 14. So we honestly have never really had a church family since we've been together. We used to go to church kind of randomly, but nothing real serious. And honestly, I feel like the last few years, our marriage, we've just been going through the motions. There was just not a reason, but there was just, we're just going through the motions, just kind of doing the things.
We were going somewhere, but nowhere good. Around this time, it was October of 21, her brother got married.
So the pastor that married them recommended a church up here that was more local to them. So we decided on Easter, kind of had this realization, me and my mom, my sister-in-law, like, hey, we need to get into church.
Erica texts me one day and says, me and Mom and Hannah are gonna go to church on Easter. You don't have to go, but you can go if you want to. And I don't remember my exact response. I don't think I responded immediately, but I was apprehensive right off the bat. I'll be honest with you. I didn't wanna go to church anywhere, much less up here in Portland. But behind the scenes, I was on the website and on YouTube and honestly trying to find something wrong with Generation Church. And so I went, we showed up. The second we hit that door, and really it was before we hit the door, really when we hit the patio out there, just the warmth and the kindness that I saw right off the bat was genuine. I had seen fake done a lot in the church, but the people that are out here in the front and doing that, I think sometimes they might feel like, well, I'm just the traffic guy, or I'm just you're so much more than that. Like you touched us immediately coming through here. And I had no expectations other than the fact that I sort of didn't want to be here. And I think that's where God wanted me to be in that moment, that morning.
We left Easter, all of us girls were texting like, hey, what did the guys think? Like, how did they like it? And we're like, they've not stopped talking about it. They love it. They love everything about the church. They love Brandon. And we just felt at home. It was just that, felt very welcomed.
I knew God was moving in this place. It was hard not to see that happening every Sunday we were in here. But I didn't realize how powerfully until I came to Monday Night Men's Group. I feel like I'd been around men a lot just through my coaching and doing that type of stuff, but I had never been around men in an intimate situation like that before. I had no idea what to expect when we showed up, but it changed my life. Through that time period, I was digging deep in the Generation app. We've only been here since Easter, but I feel like I've gone here for 2 years because I've listened through that many sermons on the app, just trying to fill holes in me. What I realized I was missing was Christ in my heart. I had made a decision at 5 years old to get baptized, but I had never made a decision to live my life for Jesus. A lot of people experience Jesus in a church service, but I found Christ in my garage. But I listened to a sermon from Pastor Brandon called Jesus the Gate. And I think the one I listened to, he didn't even preach here in this building, but I listened to it. I remember the day, July 17th of this year, in my garage, and gave my life to Christ that day. Jody Brown baptized me here at Generation Church on July 24th. I had been inviting so many people to come to church those first few months we were coming here, and I couldn't get anyone to come. But that Sunday I got baptized. I looked behind me and there's probably 40 people here. I don't know the exact number, but it was close to that, being here for me in a time where not long before that I felt alone and depressed, and I don't feel worthy a lot of the time of what God's doing around my life and in my life, but I know He's worthy. I see myself as someone who actually isn't depressed. I am a people person. The devil's greatest trick is he tells us the complete opposite about ourselves of what the actual truth is. People at my work have noticed. I have coworkers that are coming to church with me now just because of them asking me like, dude, something's changed, something's different with you. It's like, dude, you gotta, I can tell you about it, but you just gotta come see it, I feel like for the first time in my 8 years of being married, I'm actually leading my family. That's huge to me. That was a big part of my depression and what was holding me down is I knew I was not being the man I was called to be for my wife and my kids.
But now that we've been here and been going to the church, I feel like it has connected us in a much, much deeper level. I feel we have this common goal and this common interest to make God the center of our, not only ourselves, but our marriage, our children, our life. And it has just heavily, heavily impacted us in a very, very good way.
I think the pivotal point for our family, our son, Cannon, our oldest son, is an outgoing person. He's a lover. He really is, but he's also went through a time period where he was really struggling with school and just behavior and different things that probably stem from some of his raising from us and us just being so far from where we needed to be in our walk with Christ in general.
And once we started, kind of coming here, I think some of it was maturity, but a lot of it was we started doing things at home. We started praying at home. We've talked about God, they're asking to listen to, like Christian music in the car and all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool, but it really has helped him, and there was a lot of times in this past year that I would just come home and just be like, why? What's wrong is there something wrong with him? Is there something wrong with the way that we're parenting? And I can't help but relate not long after we started coming here and we started again having that common goal as a family and putting God at the center of our family, that it changed him. I mean, we still have our moments. He's a 7-year-old little boy, but it just changed him so much. He's matured. He talks about it. He asks questions about it. He wants to pray. And even our 4-year-old, doesn't want to go to bed without saying, "Mommy, prayer, Mommy, prayer." So it's really changed for the good.
Which is cool, like when you have a son that you raised for 6 years and not in church, and then in such a short time period of bringing him to church, he's wanting to be here and getting up on the stage and worshiping and surrendering himself at 7 years old to worship in there, man. Like that is an incredible thing to see. That's special. I don't know how many churches got kids up there worshiping like that, but it's pretty cool. I know that really set it in for our family that our kids were in the right place, but we were also in the right place. I hope God gets all the glory for whatever happens from here on out in my life. Winning, losing, good, bad. I don't think this way of thinking in my life would be possible without stepping foot into Generation Church here.